Hi, this is Brian Forrester, and today I'm taking you on an adventure to what are called the Uros floating islands. That is Bolivia to the south. We are presently in Peru at the northern end of Lake Titicaca. And as I said, we're going to be exploring what are called the floating islands. There are more than 100 of them, and they were created by the Uros people, whose origins are a mystery. Some people say they come from the jungle, but we asked the people themselves and they didn't really seem to know where they originally came from. So again, this is the very northern part of Lake Titicaca. Approximately half of Lake Titicaca is in Peru and the other half is in Bolivia. And these are totora reeds. What's important about the totora is that is what the floating islands are made from. So we're going to get on our private boat here with our group from November of 2019. We're going to explore the lake. This is our guide, who is a local person who speaks English, Spanish, and the Aymara language. And the Aymara language is what the Uros people speak, although their original language was called Pukina, which sadly has gone extinct. And some people believe that the royal Inca also spoke the Pukina language. So this is not one of the cleaner parts of Lake Titicaca. This is quite shallow in this area near the city of Puno. And we're speeding along, but very soon we're going to be going through here, a very narrow channel that takes us to the Uros Islands. Once again, on the left-hand side, the totora reed, and here on the right-hand side, the same. So as you can see, the channel is quite narrow, but eventually will open up to where the islands are located. On average, they last approximately 30 years, and you can see there's quite a bit of boat traffic, mainly tourism. And in the background, you can see the beginnings of the buildings that make up the floating islands of the Uros. Now, in order to get there, we have to stop at this little shed, which is basically a taxation station. Every person that goes to the Uros has to pay a small fee. This is controlled by the Uros people themselves. And now, again, you can see the buildings starting to appear. Some are very modern, made of wood, others of metal, but some of the others are the traditional buildings made of totora reed. So this is one of the main clusters. Again, more than 100 islands, and at least 60 of them are inhabited by families. In the front, you can see a traditional boat, which is also made of totora reeds. And by the way, totora is also found on the coast of Peru. So this is our first glimpse up close of one of the Uros Islands. You can see totora hanging there. The people use totora for many different things. There are some of the traditional huts that are made of totora. And they do have modern conveniences such as water tanks and solar panels. There are huts for sleeping, huts for cooking, huts for storage, etc. And each island in general is a close-knit family unit. The guy who just walked past was the leader of this particular island. Of course, the best way to see anything like this is with a quadcopter. And so here I am utilizing my latest little quadcopter called Horus. There you see the solar panels, you see the traditional buildings, some with metal roofs, others with thatch roofs. These islands are on average about 3 feet to 6 feet deep and require quite a bit of maintenance because of the wear and tear and the fact that the Totora over time begins to absorb the water from the lake. After 30 years, they have to be abandoned, and so prior to abandonment, another one is constructed, which takes, I believe, months, and they have to go quite a few miles to the northeast in Lake Titicaca, where the best Totora is located. So once again, flying over, the traditional boat on the left and modern boats on the right. Most transportation now is with modern metal or fiberglass boats, of course equipped with motors. And one advantage to living on one of these floating islands is that in fact you don't pay any income tax because the islands are not actual real estate. So that's one of the modern advantages to living on one of the floating islands. Traditionally, the Uros people were not the same as the native Aymara people, who were the largest population of the area. This gives you an up-close view of one of the traditional boats, and this shows you the edge of the island. Again, the surface layer has to be replaced quite frequently because of wear and tear and absorption of water. They produce a lot of traditional handicrafts here, and their traditional way of life is more or less gone because tourism is number one in terms of income. So in some ways that's sad. Here we have almost like cushions made out of the totora. And this shows you the cross-section of what one of the islands looks like with two little model buildings on top. They are anchored to the bottom of the lake, and once their usefulness is gone, then they simply cut the anchor lines and let the island float into the middle of the lake where eventually it sinks. Here we see the interior of what one of the habitations looks like. Two traditional boats, one with our group sailing down the lake, and here another one being pulled back up the lake by a motorboat. This is a view looking south towards Bolivia, which is about a 2-hour drive away. There are traditional thatch roofs, some metal roofs, modern boats. Flying low over the island, so you can see the detail. They even have little restaurants and cafes for the tourists. Heading towards a water tank and solar panels. And this is our group on the main island. We visited 2 islands that day. A wooden walkway. So you can see the construction is a hodgepodge of different materials, the more modern ones with metallic roofs, but some of the islanders prefer the traditional construction, which is the totora reed for the walls and also the roofing. And a final view floating over the main island where the general mayor of the islands lives. These people have been living on these islands for hundreds of years. If you'd like to explore with us, we're going to Egypt in March, looking at lost ancient high technology. Right after that, we're going to Israel to explore the biblical sites as well as evidence of megalithic work. In late May, early June, I'll be at Contact in the Desert at Indian Wells in California. June is our annual Inti Raymi Inca Celebration of the Sun tour, including Machu Picchu and Pumapunku and Nazca. In August, our annual Elongated Skulls of Peru and Bolivia tour. And rounding off the year in November, our annual Explore the Mysteries of Peru and Bolivia. Thank you for watching.